So I think one aspect of Catholicism and Catholic spiritual life that I've really come to appreciate, having been a Protestant, is the sacrament of penance. Within Protestantism, according to the doctrine of justification by faith alone, through an act of faith, all of one's sins, past, present, and future, are imputed to Christ, and simultaneously one receives Christ's righteousness such that going forward, really there's no sin that one can commit that can separate one from God. So this, at least initially, is very liberating, and it feels really good. But I think over time, especially as one experiences the sort of continuation of falling into sin concretely in one's life, because people still struggle with sin, it becomes harder and harder to distinguish the gospel from a sort of psychological self-assurance. So if it's the case that all of my sins have already been forgiven, when I fall into sin again and again, what do I do? Well, I don't actually need to ask God for forgiveness again. I might do that sort of in a formal way, but really everything that needs to be done has been done. So at the end of the day, all I'm doing is reminding myself that my sins have already been forgiven. And I think, as a Protestant, this process didn't quite feel like a normal relationship where you have interaction and back and forth, but it sort of seemed like I was just reminding myself of something that is sort of independently true. And I think within Catholicism, with the sacrament of penance, God accommodates himself to us, and he saves us in such a way that is more in line with human nature. We don't sin in an instant, but we sin sort of concretely throughout our lives within time. And similarly, God doesn't just save us in an instant, he saves us concretely throughout time in our lives. And really this is just an extension of the incarnation, that God, even though he didn't absolutely need to, he chose to save us by means of assuming human nature to himself, so that God became flesh. And I think this is sort of the theological basis for a number of the Catholic Church's teachings. It's especially the basis for the Church's teaching on the sacraments. And I think as a Catholic, I began to see that and appreciate that much more deeply.